Yeah, you owe the tech support, you owe them an explanation.
Technical difficulties. People apparently a lot of frames were dropping. If you could just comment and let us know that you were here before and you're back and that the frames were dropping for you. So basically they couldn't see or hear anything that we were saying for like a few minutes. So but
Okay.
Oh
just for
wow.
a few minutes. That's why I had to like
Oh,
restart.
okay.
Um so yeah, we were talking about, actually I was a little tiny bit distracted, but it's a topic that I feel like very passionate about, which is like the digital divide and the situation in St. Vincent, and also the situation because I pay attention to like the situation in the US as well. And Jamisha was talking about well, she said she wasn't quite sure if it was Tennessee, but she did say that there were some states in the US that are having problems in terms of like people accessing the internet and so forth, which is true. It's a huge problem. But the reason why I feel so like not emotional, but why I feel so strongly about it in St. Vincent is because the US has Silicon Valley and we don't. And I feel like tech is one of the areas, or having access to tech is one of the areas that could really propel us forward really, really fast. And that's why I feel like it's even more important for us to bridge our digital divides as opposed to developed countries. And this is not a unique perspective because Romania, which is a country here in Europe, they really realize that okay, if we have really fast internet, this is one of the ways that we could really get ahead of everybody else. And so I think as of now, I think they still have like the fastest internet connection in Europe, like compared to even France, like everywhere, like they just focus on that, like this is what we're gonna do. And a lot of tech hubs and so forth even moved like developments and so forth over there because the internet was just so fast and so cheap, and they were able to get like money in that way. So it's something to like keep in mind, but I think we should also think about how we can address this in savings. And we spoke a lot about devices, but I don't often hear matching discussion about internet and so forth. I know the NTRC is doing a lot, but I think that we like both discussions should always go hand in hand.
I agree.
Definitely.
Um, Tedra, what do you think of? Do you think corporate society is doing enough to like help the education sector during COVID?
It's good. I I don't think so. But let me preface whatever else I'm gonna say. Saying I don't know all of what they're doing
Yeah,
because
very.
sometimes corporations, like there is one particular corporation I know that helps a lot but chooses not to publicize it,
Mm,
Okay.
right? So I don't know the extent to which they're helping, but if I am from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like enough is being done. I mean, we've seen the posters around town, wash your hands, sanitize. But I genuinely don't think that's enough. When you look at the other Caribbean countries and how much their corporate societies have stepped up, we're nowhere close. You look at Trinidad, you look at Jamaica, and I know they're much bigger. Their corporate society is going to be much bigger, much richer. But it's to me, it's the effort.
hmm
Like I don't understand. There are certain basic things you might not be able to contribute to buy every child a tablet, but you might be able to sponsor a program or a tutor who can connect somewhere that can help students. And I don't feel as though that's enough, but I would put on a marketing hat and say I don't think, or a business hat, I don't think that many of our corporations here consider the triple bottom line. A lot of them still operate with a single bottom line in mind.
hmm
And until we make that adjustment as a society, we're not really going to see them doing enough. They're always going to come up short because they can get away with coming up short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So that's my thing. I would love to see a lot more support, but I know in their defense they're going to jump and say this is a time where they are losing money.
They're also struggling. Yeah. I was going to say that. I was going to say that I know that there are companies that have cut salaries, but they're still finding ways to give to education, give to Ministry of Health and all of these things. So I'm not really sure that
it doesn't hold up.
a valid excuse.
I think it's the fact that they don't consider the triple bottom line. To a lot of them, that concept doesn't exist. I think they think occasionally giving $500 or means that you're being corporate, you're being responsible as a corporation when it comes to dealing with people, but that's not enough. In 2020, that could never be enough.
Yeah, and I think corporate society needs to go beyond the typical, here's a check for X amount of dollars. There are other things that you can do that, don't require you writing a check. There are other ways that you could support. Like you said, you could sponsor a tutor for a period to do, supplementary classes for certain students, things like that. And I don't think we look at, corporate society giving back in that kind of way. We just think of it as, well, how much money you can give me today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one of the things that we should start discussing more, like what we should expect from corporate society and what they should want to give to the society in which they're operating, and is ensuring that their company continues beyond COVID.
Yeah, I think a lot of them ignore what is sustainability at this point. And as I said, not just we recycle or we sponsor a beach cleanup. That's not enough.
And it's probably things that they do once in a blue moon as well. And again, it's not to slam corporate society, because quite a few of them do really well and consistently do really well. I think Sagicor is one of them. You could identify them as consistently throughout the year doing things. So it's not to slam.
Definitely. I think we know the ones who do it for the profit. Yeah. And we can also spot the ones who genuinely do what they do. Yeah. Although if you ask a business person, they're going to tell you none of them do it for being genuine sake. It all comes down to profit.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least there is that appearance that something is genuine. And I think that's where our corporate society really needs to lean towards. There are some, you see the same sponsors all the time. And granted, we're very small, so that might be part of it. But I do think there are different avenues that many of them can contribute without them necessarily having to hand off $10,000, $20,000 every time.
I agree. Where do you see e-learning going post-COVID? Do you think it's something that we should continue with, when things normalize, if that is even possible, or when that happens? Is it something as an educator that you would want to continue working with on a regular basis?
Definitely. I think if you think otherwise, then this wave has already left you behind. In 2020, everything comes down to technology, and it's only going to become more and more integrated into our everyday lives, not just education, but all over. I mean, there's a doorbell where you could see anybody showing up in your house from anywhere in the world. You can look into your fridge from work.
Yeah.
And those are some of the basic ones. In terms of e-learning and technology, it's a platform that I think every educator, if we want to remain active, even the ones that have practical subjects, this is something that we're going to need to embrace. This is something that we're going to have to become extremely comfortable with, because it might be COVID-19 this time, but we don't know what's happening next year. And we don't know what's happening the year after that. So the best thing is to just be prepared. And we cannot get away from technology. In fact, the kids are leading, you could say, in terms of use. Probably, I don't have the statistics, but my 5-year-old can find his way around YouTube, no problem, can tell me this, that, and that. So it's not that the kids are not embracing it, but I think the older people are the ones very hesitant to do that. And if we want to remain connected with these kids, we're going to have to come on board. I think we need to have a more integrated approach, because when we go back to the classroom, again, it's face to face. If someone isn't pressing record on their phone, then that's the end of the lecture. You know, I think we need to consider it's going to be pricey, but we need to consider having these things as a staple within our classrooms, having the enough projectors there, having a pull down record or something, not a whiteboard, but you know, that backdrop for the projector, things like those that would help in bringing about this type of change. I think we need to have training, but not just on a one-off basis, because I can learn my system 6 months from now. If I don't use it, I might forget the features. So we need to have regular checkups of where people go through this training more than once to ensure that, okay, they're up to date with the new features, they know how to implement different strategies, they know how to be interactive with students to ensure that most of them can participate. There is no getting away from technology in 2020. And if you think, if anybody out there thinks that it's possible, then they're in the wrong business at this point. They need to go on some island where there is no type of technology and they don't need to do anything else but send messages in a bottle, because technology is all around us. We have to embrace it.
I'm happy you say that though, because you know, there's some parents, not even parents, there are lots of people that you know, they've been talking about the negative effects of so much screen time.
I have felt it.
So it has to be a balance. But then what do you think about maybe us trying to focus more on creating smart classrooms rather than you know, what we have traditionally understood a teaching environment to be?
Definitely the smart classrooms I would give a vote for. As a matter of fact, having been a student in a smart classroom is an eye-opening experience. You know, you come back from these experiences and your thinking is just so changed in terms of how convenient this is. Because you can go into a classroom, or I should say, I've gone into a classroom where the school actually gave everyone an iPad. I know that ain't a thing in St. Vincent, but you know, tablets come in, you never know. But at the business school that I went, we all got a new iPad. So to participate in class, you have a class of over 100 students. Everyone is not going to put up their hand to answer, but you want everyone to participate. So you log into one of those teaching apps and you put the question up on the projector and students can vote instantly. You get the results instantly. You get everyone's participation instantly, because I might not want to raise my hand to talk.
That's amazing.
But if I'm on my tablet, I can click an easy vote.
That is amazing.
So, I mean, having been on the student side of that, I know how effective it was for me. I mean, granted, I wasn't the student who would be afraid to talk. But there were people in the class I know weren't comfortable, especially because for most of them, English was their second language. So this was even more convenient because you get that participation and you get people to probably say something that they may not feel most comfortable saying in front of other people. And because on some of these voting platforms and these teaching platforms, your answers are anonymous, you could get away with saying certain things and nobody knows who that answer came from in the class. So I think there is a future in that. That we can explore.
Sorry to cut you off, but someone said great insight. I'm transitioning to lecturing soon, so I'm truly appreciative. By the way, if you have questions, you could comment and we would see them and just let me know.
You're welcome. You can find me.
You said as someone like this, someone in someone special.
Delano D'Souza. Who's that?
Someone special said that.
Well, then, since I know who it is now, I don't need to make a shameless plug to say, "Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn." I already have. But definitely, there are a lot of platforms that I see schools in the UK using that I've been a part of that are definitely helpful where that is concerned. And I mean, these are things most of our students, we know not all of them would have it, but if you're a lecturer or you're a teacher, you know the students, at least in my age group, that have smartphones. They have better phones than me. So they can easily access these platforms and the voting. The hiccup with that is the Wi-Fi connectivity in these institutions. It's another problem. Because you will not get Wi-Fi in every classroom where I am currently.
Okay.
You know, so depending on which classroom you are on a particular day, you can't use certain features.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think definitely.
Sorry. No, well, I was just gonna ask because we're talking about, that we now need to focus, beyond COVID to start integrating technology more into the education system. And we touched on it without really going into it, and that's the issue of then training teachers. So,
well, go ahead. Sorry.
Because as you said, like not every teacher is young, hip with it,
Yeah.
knows what Zoom is, Microsoft Teams is, or even, know how to maneuver these things seamlessly. So I think that's something that would have to be prioritized just as much as we prioritize integrating the technology, because what good is having something if you can't use it?
If it's not used, yeah. Let me make a disclaimer here. I should have made this from the start. My views are mine. They are in no way associated with my employer. But I will say this, at the institution, because we have an entire e-college department, every semester, the college reminds you, okay, take a refresher course, because this is what you're going to need to do to upload your grades, because we have to upload grades online.
Okay.
Right, not just learning, but e-campus, putting in the grades and all of that. And every semester you're reminded, and I know shout outs to e-college department, people like Melissa, who remind you if you need a refresher, simply contact them and they will guide you through it. So at least there is that support on campus. But like you said, everybody is not going to utilize it. I'm sure that message has fallen on a few deaf ears.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps what needs to be done, in certain places or in certain universities, before you can even go ahead in the semester, sometimes you have to take like a test. So like a plagiarism test to say you understand plagiarism, and you have to pass that test.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can have something similar for teachers to go through a training and then take a test to show that they understand how to do these things. Because I mean, we're always giving tests, so we should be comfortable with taking one.
Yeah, true. A more proactive approach.
And that way, and that way, I mean, if you don't take the test, then you gotta be held accountable, So I think that's something on you. Granted, if you're letting people sign in to take a test, somebody else can always take it for them.
Yeah.
But that's something you could never get away from with online teaching.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You could never really get away from that. So I think there definitely needs to be some type of assessment, nothing too big, nothing too complicated, to at least be able to gauge the level of understanding when it comes to technology for the people who have to use it. And I think from an individual standpoint, without sounding ageist, a lot of the older educators need to come on board when it comes to technology and be less resistant. Because sometimes you've been doing something for so long. You have people who are teaching 30 years, using one particular mode of delivery. Asking them to make this major switch in such a short time is difficult. But
Yeah.
as I said, you don't know what's going to happen next week. You don't know what's going to happen next year. The most we can do is position ourselves in a way that allows us to easily adapt.
Mm-hmm. Are you like what is your personal opinion on how do you feel about working remotely though? Like, do you prefer this over actually being in direct contact with your students?
Well, if I am to be real,
Please.
not spending to drive to work is quite nifty at this moment. But on a serious note, for me, in terms of preference, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to go in, I just understand this is what I have to do and I do it. If I have to be at home, this is what I have to do and I have to do it. What I will say is there are challenges that I face at home that I will not have if I go in day to day.
Yeah.
Apart from the basic technology with not all students having access to it. As I said, I have a 5-year-old that I have to manage at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So having to explain to a 5-year-old that I am home but I am not available is not the easiest of tasks.
Yeah.
Because they want to play hide and seek. They want to kick football, tickle. I have to find time to do paintings and coloring. Yeah. Whereas that activity in my usual day sometimes doesn't even happen until the weekend because of my schedule, I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. I always have to be juggling both. So it's a little more difficult for me to manage because then I still have to find time for him to do schoolwork. And I can't do his schoolwork while I am doing my schoolwork.
Of course.
So Ronnie Daniel, Ronnie Daniel said, in regards to your comment on technology, Tedra, he said, without a doubt, in fact, it's redefining presence, attendance, and the monolithic delivery of curriculum.
Definitely. I could mark my register online. I know when my students show up. I don't have to pass a paper around. I don't have to kill a tree to say write your name online. I can mark their attendance. I can record their video presentations. My kids had to do a speech, an argumentative presentation to me. And because of COVID, this wasn't done face to face. And at least now I have all the videos. If there is any discrepancy that pops up with the grading, there's a video of them doing the presentation. And before, all I would have possibly had was probably a voice recording. But now I have it on video, on camera, them presenting. And I always have that. And that's there on a server that I can access and that other people within my institution can access and verify at any time. Mm-hmm. So there are definitely a lot of advantages, but as with anything, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I think each teacher, whichever division, would have their individual challenges. Can you imagine what life is like right now for the teachers who have multiple children underage?
And maybe single parents.
Boy.
Like, without my family's support, I don't know what I would have done. Honestly, I don't. There are occasions where my dad or my aunt has to take my son because on a Wednesday, for instance, when COVID just came in, Wednesdays are usually my fullest days on a regular, right? So I have classes from in the morning back to back until 6 o'clock in the evening. I cannot keep a 5-year-old quiet from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening in my house. It's impossible. Impossible. If he stays doing something for an hour, if that long, I can't get him to do something after that. So definitely in this situation, doing it from home requires a lot of support if it's going to be successful. Mm-hmm. But of course, face to face, at the end of the day, no amount of technology can ever make up for face to face human connection.
Mm-hmm. I have another. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Go ahead. Yep, I have another question here. Do you think the new technology venture should be done in stages, starting from the SVGCC level?
If it should be done in stages, it definitely has to be done in stages, because when you do things in stages, it makes it more manageable, right? And it also gives you an opportunity to see if something doesn't work in this stage, I know what to fix before I can move on to another stage.
Yeah.
So delivering it in stages, I would say, is the best approach. In terms of starting with the SVGCC, because we already have an existing platform. And again, let me reiterate, I am not speaking on behalf of the college, because we already have a platform. For many of us, we're familiar with it. Can we utilize it a lot more? Yes. Should we? Yes. So in terms of starting with us, it would be a quicker transition.
But do you find, Tedra, and this is unrelated to what you just said, do you find that your students are more I want to phrase it properly. Do you find that they are quicker reaching out to you know that there is no face-to-face contact? You know, there might be children who are cripplingly shy, embarrassed to ask questions, you know, in class, or even approach the lecturer after the class is finished. Do you think that bridge now, where, you know, they don't actually have to say, "Hi, miss, let me talk to you a second." No, they can send you a WhatsApp and kind of put down the phone.
Yeah. Definitely. For me, I'm way more accessible now, because in the pre-COVID era, you have me juggling 3 different campuses.
Yeah.
So even when they want to talk to me, I may not be at their campus that day. And again, if I use Wednesday as an example, I'm at 3 places on a Wednesday. So even if you want to talk to me after class, let's say my class finishes at 11 at one place on a Wednesday, I have to be at another location for 12. So I cannot stand and say, okay, let's talk. So I have to be going back and forth. So most of their communication was via email, or they really have to catch me on a day that I'm at one division, which realistically was only one day of the week. No, and again, they didn't have my WhatsApp number. Only before, what I used to do is, like, I used to nominate like a class rep, and if something pops up, I message that person, and that person is responsible for putting the information out there to the others. However, since COVID, everybody has my number. So especially for the Cape group that I have, everyone has my number. They message me at 10 o'clock in the night. And I know some people might think 10 o'clock in the night, you need to have boundaries. But given the situation at this point, for me, I'm going to be on my phone anyway.
Yeah.
I'm still up. Like the other night, after 10, one of them messages me, "Oh, miss, I just took a test online. Can you look over my answers? Because the test wasn't revealing what they got right or wrong. Can you just verify my answers to see how I did?" It's 10 o'clock in the night, but I'm on my phone anyway. So I might as well just answer. So I'm definitely more accessible. At least now they call me. Before, they wouldn't be calling me on my phone. They would be emailing me. But as I said earlier, if they call me on my phone, I answer. If they send me a message, I answer, because I know it's difficult for everybody involved.
Of course.
And for some of them, and all of them are accustomed to face-to-face learning. So I have to be cognizant that this is a transition for everybody. And I need to ensure that it is as easy as possible for them, and that they get to their end goal of getting this pass in this subject.
Yeah. And then you also can't be too harsh on them, I guess, because, you know, I think while some figure, well, Miss available to me at any time because she's my teacher. So obviously she's available to me at any time. But on the other hand, you know, you don't know what that child's daily life is like. You know, it could be a situation where that's the only time they have access to their device, to the one device.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, you can't be, I guess you can't be too harsh. You have to be cognizant, like, you know, you don't know what the situation is. So try to be as accommodating in as far as you can be.
Yeah, and I think at the A-level stage, it's also easier to manage. They can consider, okay, I'm not going to message her at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, they have enough sense to know that.
Yeah.
But not everyone has the option of delivering at that level to that age group. So I
Yeah.
can imagine that it's a lot trickier for people at the primary level and even early secondary. And I mean, there are certain things that you have to be mindful of. You still have to be professional. You can't figure out, oh, they have my number, and then that gives you like an avenue to be unprofessional or anyway. You still have to be ethical. You still have to talk to them just as you would talk to them if you saw them face to face. Be mindful because boys. Anyway,
A coworker of mine was actually saying that for the very early stages of COVID, her children, I think they're like 15, 16, around there. She said she actually had to contact the teacher and tell the teacher that she thinks that she should slow down with the amount of work that she was sending to them, because she was saying that her kids were having trouble coping just because of the whole mental situation. Like, it was a lot for them to continue as if every day was normal and still be thinking about, they don't know what's gonna happen. This lockdown situation is new.
yeah, I mean, that's a thing. And as a parent, I could attest to that. There are other parents in my son's class, and they're like, but all y'all do is just send a bunch of worksheets and you expect this to be done by this time, and then that's it. It becomes overwhelming. It becomes overwhelming. However, because of the way we're set up, we don't have 3 terms, as you know, it's by semester.
Yeah.
So normally school is out by this time. It's exam season. We're winding down. So fortunately for me, I was at the end. Most of the courses were completed. Right now, the CAPE syllabus is done. The kids are working on their SBAs. So even that requires a lot of contact.
Yeah.
With the associate's degree, their assignments are in. Right now, we're just waiting on word on what to do in terms of grading and stuff like that. But it can be very overwhelming. It can be. For me, not knowing that my son's school was sending stuff via WhatsApp or via Facebook, having to backtrack and looking at all the stuff that they sent, I'm like, do they realize that? How do you expect a 5-year-old to just do all of this outside of a classroom setting and get it done just like that?
Yeah.
It's a lot to manage. And I think sometimes when we send out work, we don't consider all of the variables. We send it out with one end game in mind, that they're gonna do it. And sometimes it's really not that easy to get it done.
I have another question here. How do you feel about the adjustments to the external exams? And somebody else said it is overwhelming. Tika Adams.
Tika, you were the parent I was referencing, but okay. The parent I was referencing about a parent said this is a lot. It was Tika. Sorry, what was the question? Oh, what do I think about exams?
Yes.
Honestly, I am not, and I'm not in favor of the kids going back to school, the ones at CXC and the ones at common entrance class, because it seems as though we're more focused on the end result and not the process. Because if the kids get the process down, and I mean, I know they're going to say, but how can you know if they get it done if you don't test them? You can test them, but that doesn't mean you necessarily need to put people in a position where they need to go to school because they're about to do an exam, because then that just shows that our focus is only the end result with the exam. Because we are able to control the variables within a schoolyard, within a classroom with the social distancing. But especially for those schools in the Kingston area where students are coming from all over St. Vincent, unless you can control the bus that picks them up, or the car, or whatever, and take them to the school directly, there are a lot of things outside of our control. Yeah. Because some of them are going to catch van. We don't know who's sitting next to them in the van. We don't know who they're going to walk past or bump into from Tokyo to their schools.
Yeah.
You understand? We don't know. Kids, I mean, for me, that's one of my biggest worries with my son going back to school. It's easy for me to tell 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, wash your hands, sanitize, whatever. I'm not there to oversee a 5-year-old doing all of that all the time.
Yeah.
So in terms of the assessments, I understand that things need to go forward. I am, however, I'm aware of the challenges as well. CXC has been doing pre-testing in a testing phase for a very long time. We've been hearing about this online testing for years.
I think when I was
boy.
with CXC,
Listen.
they were doing that.
It's been years and we cannot seem to get it down pack. And even now, I mean, it's not even just CXC. Realistically, when you look at the infrastructure, even if they want you to come into the school, if you have 90, 100 people doing CAPE communications, we don't have 100 computers.
Yeah.
So it's so many different things. Now I see CXC is going to let them come to a center and do the testing for CAPE. They're going to centers. That center might be the school or somewhere else to do their CAPE exams in July. And I'm very interested in seeing how it's going to unfold.
Well, I was just going to say that would be, there's so many variables that immediately come into my head.
Yeah,
like, how are you going
devices first of all?
Yeah,
like
devices
a center where we do they know something that I don't?
I'm wondering if they're going to, because they did say it's going to be only multiple choice.
Yeah.
And even with that, I don't know if that's sufficient.
I actually wanted to ask you more in depth about how you feel about the multiple choice thing, because I asked my younger sister about it, who more recently did CXC, and she brought up the point of SATs and that SATs are multiple choice. How do you feel about that?
It's a new thing, so everybody's transitioning, me as a lecturer, the students. How do I feel about it? It's going to be easier for them to grade. But because it's something that they've never done, I'm wondering if it would result in any gaps. Because you don't get to test their writing skills, you don't get to test their expression. And from my standpoint, that's one of the biggest challenges in our system right now. You would have kids coming in doing really, really well because they ace their paper one and their multiple choice, but still have so many challenges with basic writing.
And analysis.
Exactly.
Able to
exactly.
Because
so I feel like
no, I did the SATs actually, and I did have to still do a writing portion. So that would be definitely something that's missing if they don't. I mean, there's no multiple choice way to test this. That attests to the fact that you do need the writing. We have two questions, say, when you finish.
For me, because I know they're only gonna do multiple choice, I'll be honest, that's what I've been prepping them on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at this point you want them to understand the other approaches, but they're not being tested on it. So there are, I guess, there is a way to do it, because for instance, when it comes to research, when it comes to communications in terms of organizing how you write, I guess you can ask a multiple choice question on what paragraph comes first, or where does this paragraph fall when you're reading something. So there are ways. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how the results unfold. To see if everybody is going to pass with like high grades, or if people are going to fall off as a result of it, because not everyone is comfortable with multiple choice. At least when you have two papers, you kind of level the playing field, because some people are better at expressing themselves, but it's left to be seen.
So question from Ronnie Daniel. This is the first question. What would you guys like to see from a policy level on the changes that need to take place to ensure that we better manage any future shocks to our education system and our society as a whole?
That's a great
Loaded
question.
question. Yeah, very good question.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we need to understand is that regardless, no matter how perfect a situation seems right now, it's always important to have a contingency plan. And I think that was one of the biggest oversights, right? You thought that this would never happen. So you never prepared for it. You never had a backup plan to say, this is how it will be delivered in the event that this happens. So I think COVID has really been a wake-up call that we need to plan, and not just plan for what is happening right now, but what can happen.
Yeah.
From a policy standpoint, we need to have a contingency plan. And it needs to be a plan that includes every level of education that has single approach. Schools should not be doing their own things. And I think right now, technology has to be a major part of that plan going forward.
Definitely.
You have to ensure that the devices are available. You have to ensure that the competency exists in the students and the teachers to operate these devices. You have to ensure that you, as the manager, you have a platform that allows for people to easily access information. And I think that's what we don't have right now. We don't have a single platform that every teacher can go into and say, okay, this is grade 6 folder, every grade 6. We don't have that right now.
Yeah.
Because and lack of that single approach is one of the things that is really killing us right now. I've seen it in other countries. And I'd use St. Lucia as an example. I don't know if they have a policy at the ministry level, but I know this one school in particular, when you look at the way they deliver their work, they don't, and this is for grade K, they don't simply just send you the worksheets and say, do this. On each of the sheets, the lessons are organized by day, and you are told or you are guided on how to deliver the lesson.
Okay.
So as a parent, I know that was helpful for me. So it's a situation where I have my friend in St. Lucia sending me her nephew's book for my son in grade K. But I definitely think that there's a need to have a uniform policy, and to have some checks and balance of ensuring that the head teachers, the principals, adhere to this policy. You know, because at the end of the day, you can have a policy and it's just on the shelf.
Yep.
And teachers are always going to take their cues from principals.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think
so they have to be significant.
I think we mentioned it before, but I think we need to move in the direction of, I mean, it's an expensive task to do, but move in the direction of smart classrooms. You know, I think we need to evolve, especially at the primary level, and to an extent the secondary level, past writing on a chalkboard and a whiteboard. You know, I think we need to just, that's great, but we need to figure out, you know, how do we incorporate, you know, this standard platform, for example.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get away from it. And you do, like I keep saying, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Who would have thought we would be like this now in 2020? Everybody was looking, 2020 was supposed to be everyone's coming out.
This was supposed to be our year.
Our year, roaring 20s.
I'm telling you. So it's like,
but I think having that one standard platform that everybody can access, though, balances the playing field, evens the playing field across the board.
Definitely.
Because you're not in a situation now where, you know, one school might be deemed the top school because they have the quote unquote better teachers. Everybody will now have access to the same type of information. Of course, you know, you can't help that maybe Tedra is better at, you know, vocalizing XYZ than Heidi might be at teaching English A or English B. but
Right.
at least everyone has the same kind of access to information, and then you don't have issues where a child is absent from school and they have to call a friend to get notes, struggle to find out what happened last week, or things like that. I think now we're seeing the simple fixes,
Mm-hmm.
the little things that you probably don't think about on a daily basis. You're seeing those come to a head now with COVID. But yeah,
And
I
even
that's
mean,
that.
some, no, I was gonna say
but
even some spill-offs, because with the Ministry of Education classes that they were posting, we were joking that we would actually follow some of them to kind of refresh our memory on some of the topics, just because
The ones
they're
that are
available.
mystery.
Yeah, the ones that just because they're available, and we were joking, but maybe seriously, there are some people who are out of school, but now they are actually
Yeah,
following along on some of these courses as well.
yeah.
yeah, I think in addition to having a policy in terms of that standard approach, one of the things that is often overlooked is the need for continued communication with the various stakeholders,
Yeah, yeah,
and the importance of having a unified message coming from whether it be a single or multiple sources. That continued communication, especially when people don't have face-to-face interaction, is really important. And I
hmm
feel like the communication could have been sooner, right? From the ministry, it could have been sooner, and it could have had. There should have been a communication strategy in addition to having a policy on how to go about navigating COVID or going forward, how to integrate IT and ICT into the classroom or whatever. There needed to be a communication policy in place that guides how to go about communicating with the various stakeholders to ensure whatever means you choose is the most effective to reach these people and to get your message across.
But I think that's a problem that we've had for this whole COVID period, though. Not even just in education, because we
Mhm.
discussed it. We discussed it in terms of health and what Ministry of Health was doing. I think communication generally is not something we place emphasis on for some reason. I don't get it. And yeah, I think as a society, we need to just start focusing on why we need to communicate with
Mhm.
citizens.
I
You know,
mean,
people.
you could imagine how I feel about that.
Well,
That is something that gets under my skin,
yeah,
because not just because that's my area or that's my academic background or whatever, but it's because we fail to see how important it is until it's absolutely necessary.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And if we make it regular or we place regular emphasis on it, then when things go bad, it becomes easier to deal with.
it's second nature. You don't have to then go to
Exactly.
figure it out.
Yep.
Exactly. I'm always saying that I wish every organization, every ministry, every whatever, there is a role carved out for communication.
Communication is
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important.
Because it's like some people think it's only when it comes to ICT or only tourism or somebody. Every ministry should have. I don't know if they have it. I don't think so.
Maybe
I know they
somebody
have
could
like
tell us if they know.
yeah. If anybody on the live knows,
Please comment
I
and
don't know
tell
if
us.
every ministry has it. I know health has a communications officer, something.
yeah,
Um,
they do for sure.
I know health has that, but I don't know if it's a standard in every ministry.
I have some comments here. Let me just read a few of them for you guys. Chacha Hadaway said, I'm worried about children currently in grade 5 who are preparing for CPEA next year. Tika Adams says, I think now we will see the importance of technology in schools. Um, Undefinable K. Matthews says that it must start with the curriculum, adjustments to the curriculum. And we have a question as well. I know this is a mouthful. But how are we going to tackle this issue in the new school year? Are they going to go over topics for the younger ones who are currently homeschooled? I think a lot of children are going to fall behind. So a lot of different comments here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last one for sure, that's a fear that every parent has right now. And again, it goes back to communication. Where when you fail to communicate, that sense of uncertainty grows, and that's what's almost crippling a lot of people right now. And it goes back to the ministry not communicating enough with various stakeholders the key things. These are things that parents worry about. These are things that I worry about with a 5-year-old. What's going to happen? We don't know because this has not been communicated to us. We don't know if they have a strategy. If they do have a strategy, what's involved? If they do have a strategy, when will we find out? If they do have a strategy, how does it impact us? Will there be extra classes? We don't know. And that growing uncertainty is it's going to be a disadvantage for everybody because fear grows when people don't know. Lack of knowledge breeds fear.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why I'm saying communication, especially every communication expert would tell you right now, during COVID, your communication needs to be even more regular.
Yep.
But I don't know what's happening. I wish they would tell us if they have a plan and what that plan entails.
And something we've been discussing is the failure to recognize that not everybody is restricted or really sticks to one mode of communication and one mode of technology, social media. So you would see things on Facebook. But then for persons who are not on Facebook, for persons who refuse to be on Facebook, then they're at a disadvantage because even if the information is there, then they just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, crazy to hear that the only way I can get my kids' information is to go on someone's Facebook page. Like, seriously, it boggles my mind that that's what I have to do to go on someone's personal Facebook page.
I mean, I'm laughing. It's not funny, but
Yeah.
Listen, it's two things. It's either you laugh or you cry right now.
But there are those teachers that are going to the point of above and beyond, because I have a friend who was telling me that her son, his teacher created a WhatsApp group and added every single parent and tries to give them updates in as much as she can about what's going on. We know the children have been out of school for X amount of weeks now. This is what they should be covering. In the absence of that, information coming from elsewhere, they're the teachers who are really trying to bridge the gap and fill that role. But
I mean, there are certain things that I think they just expect teachers to manage on their own as well. Like in terms of a teacher's mental health and well-being during COVID, I don't know if they're prioritizing this type of thing. I don't. As a matter of fact, it's not that I don't know. I don't think that they are. Right? From a ministry standpoint, I don't get the sense that they're considering the mental and emotional impact that this is having on the people involved. Especially on people who have been hesitant before. Technology might be a stressor.
Yeah.
No, sorry to laugh, but it's true.
It's true. Yeah.
It's a serious thing.
It's very true.
I'm telling you, it could be a stressor. And
especially
you don't know
older people.
Exactly.
It really affects. Yeah, no, it's true. There have been studies on it as well too, because they were impressed with some of the things that they were studying. Is how is it you mentioned your 5-year-old could navigate the iPad so well? How is it that you could give a 5-year-old a YouTube landing page and they navigate around so quickly, and you give an older person the same landing page and they seem so lost? So they were even talking about the differences between different ages and how they handle technology. But it's true. It's something to think about.
Definitely.
It's something.
But
Tedra, sorry.
Oh, okay.
You have a comment from Tika. She's saying, she's asking, but how are we going to tackle this issue in the new school year, are they going to go over topics for the younger ones who are currently homeschooled? I think a lot of children are going to fall behind.
Yeah, we covered
Yeah,
that.
I think
Mhm.
somebody.
Jan, Jan.
Yeah, I think she
Jan
read that.
asked.
That's what we just
Yeah,
read.
but
Oh,
you
sorry.
had dropped out, so that's why you didn't see that
That's
one.
why I didn't.
But I will take this opportunity, guys. If you have questions, we're actually monitoring all. So we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, Periscope. So if you have questions, like put them in the chat, and we could see and we could ask Tedra and let her know. But yeah, back to the Facebook thing. Like one of my biggest gripes with a lot of companies, let's say, or a lot of communication in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is that somehow a lot of people seem to think that Facebook is the internet and the internet is Facebook. If something is on Facebook, it means that it's on the internet. I mean, yes and no. Because you should be able to have the personal choice to decide, okay, I do not want to use Facebook for whatever reason. And I
Exactly.
should still be able to access whatever it is I need to access. Facebook is not the end all and be all of the internet. And I even.
Which is what Tedra was saying. She said
Yes.
she had to come back to Facebook to go.
After
from
10 months, after I've been off of Facebook since July last year,
Oh, wow.
and I had to rejoin Facebook last week because that's the only way I could get my son's information from someone's personal page. This is after I've emailed the school, and the school has yet to respond to my email
Oh,
about
wow.
how I can access the information.
You see?
And I don't want to be on Facebook. I mean, I would have been on Facebook if I wanted to be on Facebook. The fact that I've been gone for 10 months shows that I'm not interested in being on the social network anymore. But because of this, I have to be.
Yep.
Because that's the only way I can get the information. And it's not even a school account. This is a teacher going above and beyond using that page,
Yeah.
her page. And that's what I have to go to because there is no official communication from the school.
But one thing I would say though, I was watching the video with Jimmy Prince and so forth on VC3, the Minister of Education, and they were saying, and I was surprised to hear, pleasantly surprised to hear that they were looking into Google Classroom. They were looking into like different. They didn't settle on anything yet, as far as I gleaned on.
That's crazy.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, they were talking. Oh yes, they did say that in the end that they decided to go with Microsoft Teams. But Microsoft Teams is a bit different in terms of what Google Classroom provides and what Microsoft Teams provides. So I think maybe they're still looking into like an actual like online classroom platform where you could upload stuff. But they did say that they're gonna use Microsoft Teams for all the teachers to communicate with each other, which is.
But the thing is, that was just said when this week.
Yeah, I think. I don't know when the interviews came out.
But yeah, I understand where you're coming from because
Yeah.
while it's great to have that information, because we said it amongst ourselves when I shared the link, right? Well, first of all, my mother sent it to me when it was going, and she was like, "Look at this." I was like, "Okay, well, I've never seen this before, right?"
Yeah.
So that was the first time I saw it. Then I shared it with them, and we immediately said the same thing. But why is it that we only get this information through this round table interview?
Yeah.
Right?
That's the thing, and it comes
That's
back
the
to
bigger
their
issue.
willingness to embrace communication.
Communication, yeah.
Because I also have a friend that works at one of the biggest universities here in Belgium, and she's older than me, let's say, and she said that she had to do research on TikTok, as in make a TikTok account and be like to check out like how people post and the formats and so, because she has to start formulating a plan as to how the university is gonna do communication through TikTok. So they're really trying to keep their finger on the pulse of different age groups use different types of social media, as well as having a website if you're not on social media at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the fact that they're just relaying they're going to use Microsoft Teams is mind-boggling to me. The world has been dealing with COVID since the beginning of the year. And I feel like we only started dealing with it after it got here. All of these things should have been assessed before because we knew it was coming. There was no way you can tell me we did not expect it to come.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, there is no place that it hasn't gone. So I think going on VC3 as well. There we need to there's a place, and there will always be a place for traditional media.
Yeah.
But in 2020, traditional media cannot be the only thing that
it has to be different platforms.
It cannot be. I mean, I've used Google Classroom. I use Google Classroom to record my classes. I use Google Classroom to post stuff to ask the kids how they're doing, send reminders. So I would still use the school email and email them, but I would still use Google Classroom. I would still use WhatsApp. You have to consider that you have to have multiple approaches.
Definitely.
If you're only thinking about one channel, that message is not going to reach everyone.
And we discussed this with Demian McTay last week.
Okay.
One News SVG, and you know we were saying it to say that for our online news sites, for example, right? Eyewitness News, News 784. You know, the majority of the information is Facebook related. Like you would see the post on Facebook before you you see or hear about it anywhere else. You know, there's hardly any presence on Twitter, on any other platforms. So
it's crazy.
It bothers me because Tedra, like you, I stopped using Facebook. I have an account still. I mean, hello, I'm streaming from it right now, but I don't actively check it for my own personal reasons. And I felt so cut off. Like when I first stopped using it, I felt so cut off from Vincential News because I'm not at home, but I still want to follow up on the news. But I don't want to have to sit down at my computer and say type in, okay, Eyewitness News, SVG, read. Okay, close tab, new tab. No, like I want to still passively get information while I'm scrolling on the. But we're just absent. Even Jamaica's Prime Minister.
I love his social media presence.
Have you seen his social media?
I call
social media.
I call him PR Papi. Okay, because
listen, it's like if you go by this man's social media, you swear everything in Jamaica is like super chill,
right?
Because he has such a good comms team. Because it's not only him; he has such a good comms team. They're
so
constant. Yes.
And
I remember saying to someone, I said, listen, Andrew Holness is winning during COVID right now in terms of his presence.
Yeah.
He mediates. You get that information, you get concrete information. The communication is constant.
Because
and there is a lesson in that for us.
Because he posted a long video tracking a teacher doing what is essentially the school in a bag that Miss Walker
with our Minister of Education
said that they're actually doing here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I didn't know, and I remember watching the video on Andrew Holness's page saying, wow, like Jamaica really has it together, like they're doing this, not knowing that we have the same. And if I didn't know, I'm pretty sure that tons of other people. So it's like, yes, it's good to do certain initiatives, but you should also communicate about it. Let people know. It also makes it more accessible because it's not just about bigging up yourself and what you're doing, but if people know about it, then they actually think to access it as well.
Yeah, and then it not just with the communication, not just with people knowing, but it becomes easier for you to manage the relationships. Because if you're in constant contact, you can gauge how they respond. You have a better idea of what are the mediums that work. And it helps to maintain a relationship, which makes it easier to manage. So then when you manage it easier, sometimes you would find other people are putting the message out there for you.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. I think
but it goes back to what you said about us needing communication specialists or experts, whatever you want to call them, you know, in strategic areas, so that we don't have this breakdown of communication for critical things.
Right. I think it should be a staple in every ministry.
Yeah.
Because
so
even
please create some portfolios for the people who specialize in communications. I'm begging.
If you're watching,
shameless plug for my profession.
You could maybe you could plug yourself right now to do it for Ministry of Education.
Nah, I ain't signing up for that stress. Leave me where I am.
No, but it's
But
such an
in all realness, it needs to be given some attention.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that COVID that there is a lesson in it, because sometimes things like these happen and then once it goes back to normal, we forget.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that they are taking the lessons as they appear or as they come to light during COVID.
Yeah. Somebody WhatsApp me and asked me why we need to be slamming them so hard. And it would nobody is slamming because we were big enough. All the initiatives in the school in a bag is great. The zero rated content is fantastic. And they're really trying to get every single student to have a device. I don't know what the time frame is, but I know they're trying to get
early June.
June. So I mean, they're fantastic initiatives. Just that there's a breakdown in communication of these things.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we need to be we have to be honest. Yes, there are good initiatives. We applaud the good initiatives, but only speaking on the good initiatives really serves us little. We have to examine the areas that we fall short.
Yep.
To figure out how to get better.
Doing good in certain areas, then it means it's working and we don't need to fix it. What we need to also address are the shortcomings to ensure that they get to a point that we're comfortable enough that they're functional.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that post-COVID and I'm hopeful that I start seeing changes in communication from the various ministries and departments.
We'll pray on it, girl.
In the beginning, we saw these other countries, these other islands with their infographics, and we had none. We saw the change, but then there seems to be consistency. So the information approach, we saw that Nemo came on board to be the one source disseminating information, but then we still see different infographics.
Yeah, I mean.
So,
I'll be honest. I had my opinion of some of the methods that the Ministry of Health decided to disseminate the information as well.
Me too.
So, somebody saying, "Oh, y'all going hard on Ministry of Education." Probably it's because we're talking about education. But if we were to really share out how everything went, we'd probably be going hard on quite a few ministries.
Well, I'm actually happy because I completely forgot that your specialty was in communications. So I am actually really happy that we could segue from education into just general communication during COVID.
It's much left to be desired. I remember there was one thing that stood out to me that just boggled my mind. And it was when the Minister Brown said, "Oh, they're going to hand out pamphlets on how to reduce the spread of COVID and whatnot." And I'm sitting there like, we're handing out pamphlets? Pamphlets? So in a time where you're trying to reduce contact with people, you want to hand out pamphlets, which means if I am to stay 6 feet apart, I went as far as trying this at home with the people I live with. I asked somebody to stand 6 feet away from me, right? And I tried to hand that person a piece of paper. Because I'm like, if you're telling me about social distancing and then you're telling me about pamphlets, those two things don't go hand in hand. Because I have to be close to someone to get a pamphlet. And I'm encouraging multiple people to touch the same piece of paper.
Yep.
Right? And then people don't read pamphlets. Studies have shown things like pamphlets and so get little attention because people in their minds it's spam, it's garbage, they're gonna throw it away. It can contribute to pollution, it's a cost to print and I'm there like, I know Luke Brown did not just say pamphlets. But I mean it's coming from that background, certain things you look at and you're like, I know we can do better than this. We can do better. Not simply because I am in that field and I think I can do it. But because realistically, pamphlets.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I think we're I must say though, I think we are progressively getting better.
Definitely.
We aren't there yet, but I mean, it's no doubt that we, through this whole thing, we are getting better and better. From the daily updates about numbers, infographics,
right.
That type of thing, for sure.
And that's the thing. It has gotten better. There is still a long way to go. What I would want to see is that there isn't a reduction when this is over.
Yeah.
That whether it is every 2 days or however, that you still try to maintain constant communication.
Yep.
You may not have the same amount of news every day, but there are different ways that you can incorporate information.
Yeah. And to be honest, to be honest, if we don't do it, I think a lot of nations are definitely going to keep some lasting changes in place, and we'll find ourselves falling more and more behind. So we definitely need to keep it in mind. Could you guys just comment and let us know that you're still seeing us clearly, because I did get a notification about some drop frame. So just comment in the comments and let us know that you're still seeing us clearly.
Yeah, but that pamphlet thing was a memorable one.
I can't believe it.
Like, no, not pamphlets. Please don't say pamphlets. Please,
let's hope we didn't go in the direction of pamphlets. But let's hope not, okay? Because that wouldn't be the best thing. But I think well, what I have been loving is these videos that they've been creating, high quality videos, to showcase different things. So there was one for the isolation center where they did a tour of it. There was one for when we got testing kits from Venezuela. There was one of a medical professional showing the PCR, how the process of testing works, that type of thing. Those videos were amazing. I don't know who is responsible for it, but claps to you. Fantastic.
Yeah,
I things like that we need to keep up with.
Definitely.
And it comes back down to them keeping in the forefront of their minds how important communication is, because the videos, the posts, all of that falls under comms. You're putting the video together for a reason. You're not just doing it for doing its sake. You're putting it to reach somebody, to get some type of information out there. And the videos have definitely been good. So I think we can see that they're making a genuine effort.
Yeah.
I would just like to see a bit more guidance.
Yeah, and a bit more of a plan, because it does seem a bit ad hoc. It seems to be coming from different sources. Different sources do things in a different way. So a bit more uniformity, a plan, a bit more presence on other platforms.
I wonder if within the ministries, because they might have a strategic plan, but I wonder if there is a communications plan. Because that's something different.
That would actually be a really good thing for us to look into, and maybe we could find somebody who could come and talk about that.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting to know. Yeah, because you can have a strategic plan, and that outlines your overall strategy. But your communications plan is a completely different thing. And when I say completely different, it forms part of your strategy, yes, but it has a whole life of its own. And it details what are your core messages, when you're going to deliver them, who you're going to deliver them to, all of that.
And then it cuts down on how much misinformation is out there and how much people can manipulate the information that they have, because we see it all the time, whether it's somebody on Facebook posting something saying, oh, you know what XYZ say when it's not really what that person said. Morning radio with, where people are calling and saying, I hear XYZ say that we ain't good,
Yeah.
So when you have effective communication, you completely, well, not completely, but you diminish significantly those types of issues.
Yeah, I'm being called out on my WhatsApp. I got a message to say, I need to offer my assistance as part of the national effort.
That's what we said.
There we go.
You need to.
So I know this person is watching. I have never turned away an opportunity to make a contribution to national development in Zimbabwe, no matter how small it is.
Yeah.
I think most people who know me would know that. Call Tedra, and Tedra would show up if Tedra can show up. Right? Whether it's the Ministry of Health or NEMO or whatever. I mean, just on Mother's Day, they had a video thingy about mothers and balancing, and I was a part of that.
Oh, nice.
So, it's yes, Mr. I would not call your name. I am available should you need help.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fake news and so forth, also the absence of us on different platforms creates a gap where somebody can do it right now. Create a fake Twitter page, masquerade as somebody else, Ministry of Health, because they're just not there. So what's stopping them from
Yeah.
and the fact that they're not there means they're probably also not monitoring those platforms.
Yeah.
So somebody could really run away with what they're saying and spread misinformation that way.
And I think the reason why this is my opinion, this is an assumption, I have no proof of this, and maybe I should rephrase what I'm about to say it as well. I wonder if the reason why they are not on various platforms is because no research has been done. So what they think is the traditional thing right now, or what not the traditional thing, but the main thing is Facebook, that they stick to that, or they stick to IG. But each platform has a different type of audience.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And until you do a stakeholder evaluation and assess the people you need to reach, and recognize the best way to reach them, then we're gonna be stuck in that sense.
Yeah.
So there needs to be an assessment of some sort. Who are not just parents in this case with the education thing, but the type of parent. Maybe one parent is easier to reach via SVG TV, and the other one you can get them on LinkedIn.
But on that point as well, this is something that I've been saying a lot, and I hope that they're actually doing it, is that now we found ourselves in this COVID situation. We actually don't have figures as to how many students have access to the internet. And I'm saying, we don't have the figures. We didn't have it from before, but now that we're in the COVID situation, we could actually start building up and seeing who doesn't have access. Because, for example, the school in a bag, you could keep track of all the students or the number of students who are coming to collect this school in a bag, and it could give you a kind of rough idea as to who needs these type of low-tech solutions. But I don't know if we're actually doing that. I find in general assessment is one of our weaknesses. I feel like we do a lot of things reactively, and we don't necessarily take time to check what's the scene, do our research, and see how do we actually respond to this in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the gaps, like you said. We put things in place, but we don't do the background. So then sometimes we wonder, we do a campaign, and then we wonder, and this could be any ministry at this point, and then we wonder, well, how come people don't know about this? Because you did not check the best way to go about it. You did not do the studies to say, this is going to be the best way. If you know people don't watch API, putting it on API, you can't put it on API alone. You're going to have to use other means. And I mean, in this day and age, you have to have a presence on every platform.
Everything.
Relevant, you have to have a presence on every platform. You can't stick to traditional media in this age. less and less people are reading newspapers every day, and even newspapers themselves have gone digital.
Yeah.
So these are the things that they have to consider.
Yep. Well, Tedra, we've had you here for what?
I know. I'm charging by the minute now. This is over.
Every 2 hours. What are you giving free information to the government? So maybe you should bill them. Send the invoice for communication.
I find so. I will. I send it to Education.
Thank you for coming. This was great. This was a great chat. Because it moved from, your experience as a teacher to a parent to a communication specialist. So 3 in 1. That was fantastic.
No problem. Thank you guys for
extending
the invitation. Cheers to y'all for this platform. I mean, you clearly have an idea as to who your viewership is. And I applaud you, all of you, for providing this platform so that we can have an honest discussion about these things without trying to sound political or anything, which is so important, because in Simmons, people only see things in red and yellow.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You can't have an honest opinion. If you have an honest opinion,
we take everything as a political statement.
Yeah,
every single
that's
thing.
the thing. And so this is a really good platform to encourage honesty and to encourage engagement on a level that is not very often seen locally, without having to wear red or yellow. So
what about green? No green?
yeah, and green. And any other colors of the rainbow that exist. It was surprising to get the message, because wait, but I'm usually in the comments. How is this gonna work? I can't ask the tough questions
because
anymore.
you are so engaged and in the comments. We figured you would be good to just have a conversation with.
So I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate reaching out. And of course, I would advocate for you guys with this platform.
Thank you.
You have your thing on Sunday, and this is how it goes down. And all the best. I know all of you are out there being trendsetters in your own, paving the way for not just these, but for women.
Yeah.
So
woman is boss.
All the time.
Love it.
So thanks, Tedra.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.